CNN's Ian Lee joins us now from Istanbul. And before we get to all of that, Ian, you've got some more information on the downing of that Russian jet.
That's right, Linda. We're hearing now that the body of the pilot of that plane has been delivered to Turkey, that it was late last night that the body was handed over to the Turks. There were men there of the Orthodox religion that took the body and prepared it. Now it's going to be handed over to the Russians. This has been a very sensitive point, as well as getting that body back to the Russians. This is something that the Russians wanted to have done swiftly, and now we're seeing that the body, in fact, has been handed over.
Yeah, very tough situation. And of course, the fallout from that continues. Russia is certainly handing down a lot of sanctions to Turkey.
That's right. This isn't going to be a forgive and forget moment for Putin. We have seen a number of economic sanctions, and you mentioned tourism, and that really is a big one. They bring roughly $4 billion worth of tourism to Turkey every year, and you have that visa-free travel being thrown out as well. That's going to make it a lot more difficult for businessmen from both countries going back and forth. And we've heard from Moscow, we've heard from Ankara saying to their citizens that you shouldn't go to the other country unless it's absolutely necessary. There's other measures that Russia could take still. We haven't seen any moves toward the gas. Turkey gets about 60% of its gas from Russia. There's also, we're watching this nuclear power plant that's a multi-billion-dollar project, the one that Russia's building for Turkey. So there's a lot here that could happen. But really, it all hinges, what we're hearing, is on an apology. Putin demands an apology from President Erdogan, and Erdogan wants an apology from Putin. It just seems like both men want something that neither is willing to give.
Yeah, certainly not. And we know Erdogan is hoping to meet with Putin at the Paris summit. What are the chances that will happen?
Seems really slim at this point, Linda. Again, we're going back to this apology. Putin will not meet until there is apology. And if the day of the incident, in fact, Erdogan tried to call Putin to talk to him about it, Putin just didn't answer. There is another opportunity, though, on December 15th, that Erdogan is scheduled to go to Moscow to meet with Putin. This is something that's been planned for a while. We do not know if that trip has been canceled or not. But still, it really does seem like right now it hinges on that apology.
And now looking at the killing of this pro-Kurdish lawyer in Turkey, does it look like that was an accidental death, that he was caught in the crossfire, or do authorities believe he was assassinated?
Well, there's some really dramatic video surrounding the killing of Tahir Elçi in Diyarbakir in southeastern Turkey. But the one piece of video that is missing is the actual moment where he shot and who shot him. And this has really raised a lot of questions. We heard from the Turkish Prime Minister saying it could be really one of two options. Either A, he was assassinated, or B, he was an innocent bystander caught up in some crossfire. Because if you look at this video, you can see that there was a gunfight before he was shot and killed. Now, the Diyarbakir Bar Association, which Tahir Elçi was the head of, has said that this is an assassination. We need to also remember that Tahir Elçi last month was on CNN Turk, and he was talking about the PKK, the Kurdish PKK, which is called a terrorist organization by Turkey as well as the United States. He said that they are not a terrorist organization and that there should be some political dialogue between them and the Turkish government. Well, right after that, he was arrested, he was interrogated, he was released, but he had received a lot of death threats following that. So these are all things that investigators are going to have to look into. But this is a very polarized climate. You have the pro-Kurdish, the major pro-Kurdish party, doubtful that a thorough investigation will bring light to this. Linda?
Okay, Ian Lee, a lot to cover there from Turkey. Thank you so much for staying across it all for us. We will talk to you soon. Well, still to come, world leaders, as we mentioned earlier, are set to meet at the COP21 climate conference in Paris. We'll talk to an expert about the issues on the table. Plus, an update on Ben Carson's surprise trip to Jordan to visit Syrian refugees and what he thinks about the crisis after seeing it firsthand. A live report just ahead.